Welcome back from the break. It's time for another helping of the soup du jour.
Well, what's the soup du jour?
Well, it's the soup of the day.
Sounds good. I'll have that.
Yes, it is good. So, again, the soup du jour is a brand new show that we debuted here in season 7 of the Weekly Reel podcast. It's a new show where we talk about just fun movie or TV topics. Sometimes it's both. But today we are going to be talking about something fun that is movie related. So this week, again, I'm trying to get all of my TikTok content while it still exists and while it's still allowed here in the US. This week, I actually stumbled upon a few movie TikTokers that I guess we're talking about basically a screenshot of some of the best movie sequels in the history of cinema. I know last week me and Jeremy, we talked about one of the better sequels that has come out in recent years, Dune Part 2. Check out that episode. It's now streaming Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Check us out, follow us, subscribe, do all that thing. But in honor of last week's episode, Dune Part 2, we are going to use that same screenshot of the 12 listed movie sequels, and we're going to rank each one of those 12 movies. And so, Jeremy, do you want to actually go through each one of the 12 movies? Because I know the screenshots more of a visual thing, and we have an audio podcast, so we want to kind of let them know what movies show up on this screenshot.
Yes. So, and for those who are actually watching, you're seeing the visual right now. Go ahead and make a quick ranking of while we're talking. We'll go rank your stuff. But starting off from the top left is Dune Part 2. We've got The Empire Strikes Back. We've got The Two Towers, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. We've got The Dark Knight, Top Gun Maverick, Aliens, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, The Godfather Part 2, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Blade Runner 2049, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and probably the most family-friendly out of the bunch, Toy Story 2.
I think that's a safe bet. Oh, man. So, Jeremy, I'm going to let you get first crack of this. And I'm assuming that there may be a movie or two or maybe even 5. No, I'm just kidding. That you may not have seen. So I understand that we'll probably save those for the bottom tier, I guess. So go ahead and reveal your rankings for all 12 sequels, Jeremy.
Yes. Okay. I haven't seen 5 of them.
Oh, shoot. I just threw that number arbitrarily out there. I swear I did not know he hadn't watched 5.
Yes. Like, I was surprised. I was like, oh, how the heck did Ken know? But I will say my sequel from 7 to 1, but you won't know which ones I haven't seen. So I am going to go number 7, Dune Part 2. Oh,
Surprise.
Dune Part 2. Yep. We've got number 6, Top Gun Maverick.
Ooh, okay.
Number 5, Toy Story 2.
Okay.
We've got number 4, The Empire Strikes Back. Number 3, Captain America, The Winter Soldier. I'll explain it after. People, Star Wars fans, are like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Number 2, The Dark Knight, and of course, at number 1, Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Oh, okay. So I actually forgot to mention this before we reveal the ranks. I forgot to put this on my notes because we added it super last minute while we were literally 2 minutes before we went live. But I told Jeremy, I'm like, hey, let's try to guess which of which ones of our list will be number one, and I
Yeah.
was actually right. I figured it was going to be
Yeah.
the
Mine
Arnold,
was too
the one
easy.
lone Arnold movie on this list.
Can I guess your number one?
You want to reveal what I think, what you think now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you, probably.
yeah, go
I'm
ahead,
gonna
and I'll let you know if you're right. We'll
okay.
we'll,
So
we'll do the whole
I'll
suspense
I'll
thing when I
guess,
reveal it.
and then you can start from the bottom.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
I'm gonna guess out of these 12 because you've seen almost all of them.
I've seen 11 out of the 12.
11 out of 12.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm guessing your number one is Godfather Part 2.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
But let's go back to your list. Do you want to kind of break down your 7-1 ranking a little bit?
Yeah. Dune Part 2. I think is there's that space in between Dune and Maverick. I like Dune Part 2, but Top Gun Maverick. When you think about okay, look, but Dune Part 1 versus Dune Part 2, there is that wide gap. I'm like, holy crap. Top Gun and versus Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun's already good, but
Mhm.
Top Gun Maverick is just in another league of its own. Um, but Captain America, I'm T2 Judgment Day speaks for itself. Dark Knight speaks for itself. I think Winter Soldier, people are like, what the hell happened? Okay, remember there was a time when Marvel was actually good. And I think Empire Strikes Back, as much as I love it, I don't think I can like rewatch it every few months. Um, in some aspects, I really enjoy like A New Hope or Star
Mhm.
Wars, the first Star Wars more. Um, so I'm going Winter Soldier. I remember sometimes not. I think I prefer Captain America over Luke Skywalker as much as, but I love Han Solo. Han Solo is my favorite.
By the way, did you know he spoiler alert dies?
So, what? When does that happen? Who
Sorry,
knows?
totally an inside joke.
Yes, I have known even before. I should have known that Han Solo does die.
Oh, shout out to our cousin Ian, if you're listening out there.
And Jax will mention yours after
Yeah,
Ken's. So
yeah.
Ken, you get first dibs.
All right, let's see if Jeremy's right. All right, so the one lone movie on this list, I don't know if you want to put it up there again, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
So my ranking for the dozen sequel films, at number 12, obviously, just because it's incomplete, Aliens, I have not seen yet. But the rest of the movies I have seen. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is the 11th for me, only because I don't remember it. I figure if it's something that I probably have only seen once and don't feel the need to rewatch it, it's 11th. And there's a pretty big gap between 11 and 10 because Toy Story is actually Toy Story 2 is pretty good, and it's number 10 for me. Number 9, I literally just watched last week, Blade Runner 2049, because I was on that Denis Villeneuve kick, and I enjoyed it very much. So, and I just enjoyed the scope. Yeah, it's not one of those movies that I'll try to rewatch all the time, but it's such a good movie. Number 8, and again, this may ruffle some feathers. Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. This may be a hot take, but I think The Two Towers is actually my least favorite out of the three of the original trilogy. In that I feel like The Two Towers just leans on that final battle. Sorry, spoiler alert. 23-year spoiler alert for The Two Towers. It just leans on the last 30 or 40 minutes or whatever it was of that last battle. I have that number 8. Number 7, Dune Part 2. Recency bias, maybe, but I enjoyed it a lot. How much I liked it, you got to check out episode 113.
Mm-hmm.
Shameless plug. Number 6. I feel like this is where we get to the point where, oh my God, it just gets a little jumbled. Number 6, the best MCU movie that both Jeremy and I like, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Number 5, Top Gun: Maverick. So good. Number 4, and I don't know if it's because again I am older than Jeremy, and I grew up on the original Star Wars trilogy, I'm going with The Empire Strikes Back at number 4. Number 3, Jeremy still has a chance of me of being right because I still haven't said The Godfather Part 2.
Uh,
Number 3, Terminator 2, Judgment
oh,
Day.
what?
Only
How
because I
dare you.
probably only
I'm
because I
kidding.
probably haven't seen it recently.
Yeah.
That and man, I think the last time I watched it, I was like, man, Edward Furlong was so annoying in a lot of the
Yeah.
parts. But dude, that movie was probably one of the very first rewatchable movies that I can watch like at any time, pick it up, start watching it, and then just finish the movie the rest of the way. Number 2, I am a Nolan boy. Chris Nolan. Chris Nolan's The Dark Knight. Which means Jeremy is correct in that number 1 is The Godfather Part 2 because it's the reason why I enjoy epic stories. Yeah, I enjoy the popcorn flick, especially in recent years. I mean, I like my top 6 is really top 7 is a lot of popcorn flicks. But The Godfather Part 2 story, and you got to remember, it's coming off the heels of The Godfather, which a lot of people hold in regard to like the best movie, but like ever. People may even think that Part 2 is even better than the first one.
See, that's what I've heard.
I
From
actually think
someone like you.
I think Part 2 is actually better than the first one. I just think the first one's more rewatchable.
Okay.
But in terms of storytelling, Part 2 is actually better than Part 1.
Okay. So, but
Yeah.
any other one that you want to like emphasize, like in terms of like your ranking? Because you put Star Wars, Empire at
Above Top Gun Maverick,
yeah,
nostalgia.
yeah.
Nostalgia. And you got to remember, back in the day when it was revealed that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father. Remember, you grew up.
Spoilers. Yeah. Yeah.
You grew up already knowing that. But
Yeah,
when
yeah.
that actually came out, it was mind-blowing to a lot of us because again, this was before the internet and everything. So a lot of the stuff and it's one of the reasons why I enjoy watching the Empire of Dreams documentary that's on Disney Plus of the making of the original trilogy. No one knew. And so it was earth shattering. And I still remember how big of a deal that was. But rewatchability, to your point, does kind of play into it. That's why it's only number 4. To like movies like Terminator 2 or The Dark Knight, which I watched a million times on DVD and every other platform since.
I probably watched The Dark Knight in theaters probably 4 or 5 times. Oh well, out of its original run, too.
Yeah.
Because that was insane. Definitely got emotional during that movie. But Terminator 2 was probably the first movie that like Arnold like made me want to cry. You know, because Arnold doesn't usually do that. It's like, I know now why you cry. It's like, no. Because and plus, you know, John Connor would have that annoying voice and all that stuff, but that wasn't enough. Yeah, no, yeah.
Golly.
Yeah. So even that wasn't enough to detract of that scene. So
There were so many iconic scenes in T2. Oh my god.
Every scene's iconic, man, and even in Dune, I totally forgot. I don't know why they didn't mention this. I'm gonna add it to whatever I said last week. So Dune Part 2, spoiler alerts for Dune Part 2, real quick for the next like minute. What's his name? Paul has this like vision of like the world exploding and there's fire and brimstone, and I was like, this is totally Sarah Connor's nuke vision. I was like, T2 Judgment Day.
I remember watching that as a kid, still in elementary school. I was a tween when that scene came out. And remember, this is like more practical more than anything because that was what, circa 91.
Yeah.
Bro, that freaked me out.
It's freaking out.
Yeah, dude.
The way
Um,
like her skeleton moves.
yeah. And I will admit, back in the day, remember in the beginning, spoiler alert for T2, remember when Eddie Furlong and his mulleted redhead friend, ginger friend, steal money out of the ATM? And it's like, what does he
Easy
say again?
money.
Easy money. Yeah. I really wanted one of those Atari looking things
Yeah.
where he just literally plugs in a card or whatever in the ATM. And I'm like, easy money.
Easy money.
I mean, there were good aspects of Eddie Furlong, but there was a couple of whiny parts where I was like,
Yeah.
it's not rewatchable.
See, Arnold, I feel like for me, Arnold cancels that out. Because
Yeah.
obviously most of his scenes is with Arnold. So
Oh, but dude, we got to highlight the T-1000. I forget the name of
Robert
the
Patrick.
Robert Patrick. He was so scary as the villain. Yeah, I think he's one of the best villains of all time, to be honest.
Dude,
And he
yeah,
didn't
that's
say
true.
he barely said anything.
When he makes the little needle thing with the and stabs the adoptive father, the needle to the eye for the security guard, but then especially with the knife with the milk. Yeah, it's like, oh, that traumatized me when I was younger. I probably watched Terminator 2 too young, but
Same. At least you saw it in better quality when you
that's
eventually saw it. Saw it in freaking VHS. That thing was not great. I hope they re-release it like on IMAX or something like that.
yeah, I heard their Blu-ray, 4K is disc is horrible, and people should just buy the Blu-ray. It's like that bad. Okay, but I'll mention Jack's list real quick. For show Jax, if you're still here, if you have any supporting comments. So from
That's 9. It's pretty
I
good.
guess he hasn't seen all of them. More than me, I guess. He's seen Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, then Toy Story, then Godfather Part 2. Whoa, wait a minute. Hang on. He put Empire Strikes Back, Terminator, Maverick. I get why he played Maverick there. Terminator, Maverick. And he put Dune. How dare you?
In his defense, Dune is a really expensive story. And you got to think, I feel like me and Jax have an affinity for more fantasy, sci-fi, like epic type. Because for me, I enjoy Lord of the Rings. I enjoy Game of Thrones, all that stuff, where it's more exposition, a lot of world building, and all that stuff. I feel like Jax seems like he has that. I'm just assuming now.
Okay. All right. I'm just surprised that he put Dune over Maverick. I wouldn't be surprised he put Dune over Terminator, knowing him. But over Maverick, I think that's what got me on his list. Then he's got Winter Soldier, I believe it, and then The Dark Knight. Totally, knowing him, that's believable.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Maverick one gets me for him.
Well, let me ask you this, Jeremy. Back to your list. Your incomplete list. Out of the 5 movies that you have not watched, what's at the top of your list in terms of movies that you would want to watch next?
I want to watch. I want to watch Aliens next. Another James. This is James Cameron directing Aliens, and for him to do Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Aliens, I think I really need to see that. Wait, okay, but I was about to say, did Joe Jax not put Toy Story?
He did.
But he did. Okay. Aliens. And probably after that, probably Blade Runner.
But you got to watch the first Blade Runner first.
Yeah,
I think we
I do.
talked about the soft line.
Exactly.
Oh,
But I want to watch. I feel like the cyberpunk world is also another world I like. So I just haven't. I've been putting it off, man. I need to. I was like, I'm probably really gonna like the Blade Runner world, both movies. So I want to be like in the perfect mood to enjoy both of them.
They're really good. Just watching Blade. Okay, so just to remind audiences, I think I mentioned it last week at the very end of the soup du jour. Um, I remember watching Blade Runner 2049 when it came out in 2017. However, the caveat was I never watched the first Blade Runner before that, so I was completely lost because minor spoiler for the beginning, it's one of those movies where they give you a little bit of something to read in the beginning, and there's your backstory. And then you're supposed to figure that out. The problem with Blade Runner 2049, something to watch out for eventually if you do watch it. The font is literally this little.
Holy crap!
So I was like,
Oh man,
oh man, I totally missed stuff.
I'll probably
So
pause it first then.
well, I was watching it in theaters the first time.
Okay.
So I was like completely lost. And so I never appreciated Denis Villeneuve's epic until last week when I finally watched Blade Runner from, oh my goodness, what's his name? From who directed Gladiator?
Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott's Blade Runner 1982. I feel like that movie still holds. It's just obviously it's 1982 and it's supposed to be futuristic of 2019. And I'm like, yeah, 2019 was not like that at all.
That's how I feel when I watch Terminator, man.
Yeah, I know. I enjoy the movie directors just shooting the shot, we'll just say.
Yeah. That's why you gotta be like Halo and be like, it's 2552.
Yeah, I know, seriously. But that way no one for sure will know where the movies will end up. Yeah, it's like Back to the Future.
Yeah.
2015, when they go in the future, I'm like, dude, that was already like 9 years ago.
Shoot. Yeah. Crap. You know, someone today asked me, it's like, what's your favorite movie to rewatch? I was almost gonna say Terminator, but I didn't want to sound like, oh, I'm just a bro. I said Nightcrawler.
Ooh.
I was like, oh, yo, that's a pretty recent movie. And I was like, wait a minute. That was 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So time is flying, man.
Time is flying. Oh man. Well, anyway, again, if you want to just chime in, whoever is on the live stream, if you want to give us your list of movie sequels, rank them while you can, and obviously we'll go ahead and put this. We'll put a portion of this video on our TikTok for some exclusive content from there. So I like to have fun with our edits on our TikTok. So let's move on to the comment section. And actually, within this comment section, I told Jeremy that we were just, because we're doing our live stream here on March 13th, which is a Wednesday, the Wednesday after the 2024 Oscars. And so Jeremy, I told him that we were going to go interject a couple of Oscar items. And so Jeremy, I have to ask you, what was your favorite moment from Oscars night?
Okay. I haven't watched the whole Oscars. I watched some clips on YouTube, but crap, that's so hard. Now thinking about it, even from the smallest things I've seen, but I'm gonna go with Arnold and Danny DeVito. I have to go with Arnold. This is always Arnold. And Danny DeVito calling out Michael Keaton. Yeah, Michael Keaton's like, "Bring it on, guys." I love how he jumped straight into being Batman again.
Yeah.
And but the little comedy joke the joke that they said was like, "Oh, how did Batman defeat you?" It's like, and then Arnold, Arnold's a funny guy. So, oh, my greatest weakness, love. Yeah. But then I love Danny DeVito's rebuttal to that. He's just like, how did he defeat you? He threw me out a window.
That was it's too good.
I love that. They still have good chemistry. Still waiting for the sequel to Twins.
Yes.
Which, oh, by the way, quick tangent. Arnold is going to star in a movie with Alan Ritchson, a Christmas movie, a Christmas comedy movie, Reacher and the Terminator.
Oh man. Or Aquaman and Mr. Freeze.
Yes.
we're in
Oh my god.
we're in the DC universe.
Yes. That is the DC universe. Holy crap.
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna go with some low hanging fruit. I'm gonna go for a twofer. I'm gonna just mention Ken because,
Yes.
dude, that performance by Ryan Gosling was so freaking good. It was so rewatchable. It was so iconic, and everyone was just awed by the fact that he was actually performing, like legit
Yes.
performing. It was really good.
It was good. What the hell?
The choreography was funny. And oh man, it was just subtle, like nods to obviously the movie and everything. Um, he's so talented. The fact that he was able to, do the choreography, he was punching. Obviously, it was kind of going off of the choreography within the movie, but they
Mm.
even did a nod to Marilyn Monroe as well. I enjoyed that. The other part of that, the other half of that was his I guess his presenting or they were talking about stunt work, right? When he went up there with Emily Blunt, his Fall Guy, um, what do you call it, co-star, and
Co-star.
they were doing the whole Barbenheimer um rivalry thing. I love the
Yeah.
banter. It was so entertaining.
Yeah, I heard about that. That was totally for one, the singing Just Ken was definitely my other choice. Some would say a Ken A and a Ken B. And yeah, man, I was just impressed by. At first, I was like, "Oh, is this just a backtrack?" But then when you see him doing the dance moves and giving a little bit of efforts, I was like, "Oh, what? He's actually singing." I knew he could dance and all that stuff,
Hmm.
but before Barbie, I didn't know he could sing.
Yeah. I mean, he sang in La La Land. That was his actual voice.
Yeah.
And I guess he was also in the Mickey Mouse Club, like with Justin Timberlake and Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, among others.
That's insane because he's
Yeah.
he's a pretty low key type of actor.
Yep.
So it's just like, huh, didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And
But yeah, that.
Simu and
Oh yeah, and Bob Marley. We
yeah,
got Shang Chi and Bob Marley
yeah,
with some cameos.
yeah. I was like, oh, I'm so glad that they're there.
Yeah. I enjoy. I don't. I watched the video a lot more than I probably should have, but I enjoyed the fact that Billie Eilish in the very beginning of that video was cracking up in the background, and obviously Margot
Yeah,
Robbie was too in the foreground. When Ryan Gosling started the Just Ken song, it was so good.
yeah, in his pink rhinestone suit.
That was good. Yeah. Um. Oh, the other thing I kind of wanted to ask you was there an Oscar winner that got you pumped and hyped?
You know, um, I'm glad Robert Downey Jr. won his Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's because we know him for the Robert Downey Jr. very much like he acts like Tony Stark even off stage, but
Mm-hmm.
for him to be that very aggressive and almost villainous character in Oppenheimer is like I think yeah, it's about time I think for him
Mm-hmm.
to win an Oscar and also honorable mention which to Godzilla -1
Yeah, dude.
for best visual effects. I was like,
Visual effects
yes.
with I didn't realize that their budget was only 15 million.
Yeah, that's insane, right? It's like like when we watched it in I got to watch it in theaters twice, once with you. Um the visuals just blew me away in that movie. So,
Top
I
notch.
think
I'm
well
glad we
deserved.
really went um during our hiatus and it somehow snuck into my top 5.
I bet it would look even better in the minus color version too.
Oh yeah. I might try to rent it whenever it comes out.
I wonder what the
I hope
dub
it's
sounds like.
I hope it streams in both versions.
Oh, kind
whenever
of
it
like
does.
Justice League Snyder cut.
Yeah, yeah. You know, they'll have two separate streaming options, I guess. One with
Hmm.
color, with one without.
That would be
Yeah,
nice.
it's too bad that the -1 showing was. I think they only had morning showings that day we saw it, right? If
Yeah,
I remember
yeah, the
correctly.
color one. Sorry, minus color.
Minus color. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
minus color had only like the
Morning
like
shows.
morning and early afternoon, so that sucked.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jeremy, we both have day jobs, so it was kind of impossible to watch minus color for -1.
Hmm.
Um, I guess for me, the winner I marked out for, and this is no one's surprise, Christopher Nolan winning is best director.
Yeah.
Um, dude, he, we've been fans for I've been a fan of his since 2005,
Hmm.
since Batman Begins came out.
I probably didn't know his name until probably Dark Knight, being a little bit older at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. But I mean, obviously, I think we've watched most of the movies. I think I'm only missing two: The Following and Insomniac or Insomnia.
Insomnia, yeah.
I still need to complete that. Eventually, I will. Who knows? Maybe I'll do one right before his next release in the next couple years or so. But yeah, I was just really happy. I would imagine it would be like if you were a fan of Leonardo DiCaprio from like his Growing Pains days, or maybe Romeo and Juliet days, you know, the early days, what's
Hmm.
eating Gilbert Grape days, when he finally won for The Revenant. And not that The Revenant may have been his best work, but because he's been so consistent throughout his acting career. I'm talking about Leonardo DiCaprio. He eventually won. He wrestled a bear for his thing, for God's sake. And I feel the same with Christopher Nolan. Yeah, it's arguably not his most rewatchable movie, but I mean, it was my 2023 movie of the year. But even I recognize that it's not my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. And I feel like, again, him winning Best Director was more of an achievement over a long period of time with his body of
Hmm.
work. You know?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely could see that. They kind of, it's like, oh, he finally reached the typical Oscar Beatty movie, Oppenheimer, and
Hmm.
so that's like the milestone that he can hit, and that kind of covers all his previous movies. Kind
Yeah.
of like Leo when once he hit The Revenant, which I was like, oh, Jake Gyllenhaal should have won for Nightcrawler that year, but who knows? Maybe that's coming in the future. Um, Once he probably does a Oscar Beatty movie, and then it probably won't be as crazy as a performance as Nightcrawler, but it's
Mhm.
actually for Nightcrawler, it'll probably happen.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, since we're on topic of Christopher Nolan, I don't know if we've discussed this question, since we're talking about him winning Best Director. If it were up to you,
Hmm.
which movie should have won him a Best Director
Okay.
at the earliest point of his career? If it were up
Oh,
to you, if you were the sole voter, the only voter.
holy crap! Probably The Dark Knight. I feel like that movie, even though it's a superhero movie,
Yeah.
it's like it's it's got the action, it's got the drama, but like the writing, the pacing, it's I don't know. I probably would have gone Dark Knight because I think Inception is even more of a blockbuster movie than The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Interstellar, I feel like has more holes in it, but and it's a space movie.
Hmm. Hmm.
The Dark Knight, it's like that crime like I feel like it meets that good medium between what the Oscars usually choose and what I would choose. So I'd probably go Dark
Mm.
Knight.
I'm gonna say Memento just because it came out before Dark Knight. I love Memento. Man, that
Memento
movie
is
is so
good.
good. I feel like
Uh
at the very least, he should have been nominated, because I feel like Dude, I feel like he was ahead of his time, and no pun intended, I mean, just because he was playing with time in that movie.
I love Memento so much. It's so jarring of a movie.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like The Prestige also is really good. It's a Oscar kind of baity type movie, a little bit about magic of all things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that came out before The Dark Knight as well in 2006. Check out our Prestige episode, season 1.
Yeah, damn, that was season one.
Yeah, that
What
was
the
season
heck?
1. Yeah. I discovered that it's streaming on, I want to say Hulu, because I was like, "Ooh, should I watch The Prestige again?" No, no, no. Sorry, I think it may have been Apple TV Plus, if I'm not mistaken. Let's fact check that.
Just real quick.
Yeah, because The Prestige is so good. I mean, obviously it has Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman,
Michael Caine.
Scarlett Johansson. But yeah, Apple TV Plus. Still not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Any other random Oscar thoughts?
See, I don't
Before
know
we
why
move
there
on.
was a floating envelope on stage for best costume design. It's like all of a sudden just like was there on stage, just floating envelope. I don't understand that. That was
Yeah, that
weird.
was
It's a
very
cool magic trick though.
yeah, it's very strange. I don't know if that was CGI or if they did do that practical, how they actually did that.
Yeah, probably on strings. And then all of a sudden a voice came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Kind of sounded like John Cena,
Yeah.
but and
But
then he must have been like off stage or something.
yeah, then the floating card just went away.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was
walked
weird.
away. Yeah, it was just weird.
I think, but yeah, not my favorite moment, but you know, it was a highlight. It's like we went through the whole bit.
Damn it. I was trying to keep a straight face the entire mini segment.
Yeah, everyone knows John
Oh, shit.
Cena's.
Yeah.
He was there.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up this episode with one last thing. And so, for those that have been faithful fans of the Weekly Reel podcast, we started this journey with a podcast ritual where we would suggest one movie or TV show to watch. And so, for season 7, we decided to toss this in at the end of the soup du jour and repackage it as one last thing. So, Jeremy, what is one movie or TV show that you would like to send us off with as far as a recommendation?
Ooh, I am gonna go. Like, okay, I started the show that I mentioned offline to you,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't finished the first episode yet, so I'm not gonna mention it. You can if you want to. I'm gonna go with the show called Tracker on CBS, starring Justin Hartley, Green Arrow himself. So
Ah,
from
yes.
Smallville,
Yes,
we
from
got to reference
Smallville.
Smallville
Of
all the
course.
time.
I mean, it's two references in one episode again with
Of
Alan
course.
Richardson.
Of course, it's a little Justice League on the small screen, man. But yeah, Tracker. It's on Paramount Plus. We're not sponsored, but I think it's not the greatest show, but it's one of those shows that I like to just watch to not think about anything else. It's kind of like a popcorn show.
Mm, okay.
You don't have to listen too closely.
Wait, did the show just start? Are we in season 1 or?
Yeah, we're on season one. I believe the first 4 or 5 episodes have come out now.
And
Yeah.
it's weekly when it comes out?
Yeah, it's weekly. I
Okay.
wish I could binge it.
When do new episodes come out?
I think Sunday night. It sounds like I'm pitching it for them. Send me some Tracker merch, maybe something from Justin Hartley. But yeah, it comes out Sunday nights, and I usually watch like on Paramount Plus on like
There you go.
Monday or Sunday night.
Right. And we're still not sponsored by Paramount Plus.
Yes.
Speaking of Paramount Plus, my one last thing actually streams there, actually technically on Showtime, but through Paramount Plus. The movie that I want to highlight for one last thing, I mean, we just talked about the Oscars. It's one of the Best Picture nominees that I've been wanting to watch. I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. I finally watched Past Lives.
Nice.
Oh my God.
No spoilers.
I got triggered a little bit.
Okay. Oh,
Let's
crap.
just say this movie reminds me of 500 Days of Summer.
No. Oh crap. That's high praise right there.
I love this movie, but a lot of this stuff just kind of hit a little too close. We'll just say.
Oh
So
no.
that's all I'll say. Jeremy, I think you'll enjoy this movie, but maybe enjoy won't isn't probably the word the adjective I should have probably used. But I think you will like this movie.
Okay.
I will recommend it for you, and I will recommend it to those that love 500 Days of Summer. Definitely watch Past Lives. I'm glad I finally watched it. Again, streaming on Showtime through Paramount Plus. Still not sponsored.
Good. All right.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, let's wrap this up. I want to thank those of you in the live audience and those of you listening on your favorite podcast app. Thank you for joining us this week. Again, you'll see me and Jeremy in 2 weeks.
Yeah. 14 days. All right, fine, 2 weeks.
Yes. You will see us in 2 weeks for the Roadhouse remake on the reel.